This past summer, a new versus show called Smash Bracket hit the scene, and that's all. Video over, bye. But all jokes aside, the show's just great. Whether it be the fights, the music, or surprisingly, the analysis portions, there's definitely something here for everyone. And since it's caught my eye for a while, and because it's more than 10 episodes into the series, well, I've decided, screw it. Let's rank all 11 episodes. So, I miscounted and forgot about one of the episodes, but funny enough, I didn't rank it that high anyways. So I guess this means it's the top 12 Smash Bracket episodes now. You know, I'll just think of the title later. Well, I'm ranking these based on how much I liked each episode. Duh. So, if your favorite battle plays lower than you hoped it would be, you're just gonna have to suck it up. Also, hey, it's me, in sprite form. I really tried to make these sprites as expressive as possible, and I just like showing you guys what sprite fits the mood, in case you couldn't tell. And with all that out of the way, let's start the kickdown! Hey look, it's the episode I forgot about.
Come at me!
2, 1, go!
You'll never defeat me!
Game!
And understandably so. There really isn't anything that stands out for me in this episode. I guess learning about Lucina's mother is up to player choice was pretty neat, and for some reason I just picture Lucina freaking out and asking Chrom who her real mother is when she learns this fact. This is my first time hearing about Rob from a versus standpoint. Yeah, this is the only episode where I wasn't as remotely invested as almost every other episode that's been released so far. And while the animation is probably the most accurate representation of how this match would actually go, all that happens is Lucina bonking Rob on the head. And that's it. But I guess that's it for this episode. Also, that alternate ending is hilariously overdramatic and I love it so much.
Time to change fate! I am bested.
Ah yes, a fight between two certified chunky boys. The analysis portions for this episode aren't anything too special, since it feels like Diddy's portion drags on since it's difficult to find reasonable Kirby series feats that aren't in multiplayer. While K-Rool has the opposite problem, it feels too fast. Okay, let's actually talk about the fight now, starting with the negatives. K-Rool just appears behind Diddy. I might be dumb and have missed when Ink said he can go invisible, so I'll let that one pass. Oh yeah, and K-Rool swaps between 3 different sprites. The normal one you see for most of the fight, this one when he's skimming over the water, and this thing. Yeah, I don't know what happened with that one. It looks like a PNG you try to expand in Photoshop, but just gets more blurry when you expand it more. Also, the finishing blow doesn't really sell me on DD's victory too much. I mean, I'm fine with DD winning, it's just the fact that one normal swing is enough to launch a Croczilla into orbit. And it wasn't even the Jethammer swing either. But despite all that, it's still a joy watching both of them react to being smacked around. DD especially. I mean, just look at this frame. It's glorious. As well as DD just crouching after his victory. And I guess I should mention the music for this one since I can't find a good way to transition into that. Bandana Sum is a fun track and incorporates both fighters' themes quite well. Also, they reference the black K-Rool skin, which is a really nice touch. This is a good episode overall, but it feels lackluster at points. Yes, I'm aware it's part of a 3-part concept season, so things are subject to change, but for now, I'll just leave this episode here. Speaking of the 3-part concept season, the other 2 were fairly difficult to place, but one had a segment that kinda took me out of it, so that's what I went with. I'll just hop into the one big issue I have with the episode. The fact that Mario's best strength and durability feats just get kinda shrugged off since they aren't really quantifiable, or just outright don't make sense. I'm not sure why, but these were the only instances where it kinda just chimed out rapidly. But I really like how the analysis portion is formatted and covers the characters pretty well, but the fight's really what does it for me. They use so much of both characters' power-ups, which was kind of the animation's main focus, I feel. I love how they paused the music to show how beat up Mega Man got after that one giant hammer swing alone, which gives me a good opportunity to talk about the music. Battle of the Platformers is another good track, but not one of my favorites, but it does a good job at being, well, a battle track. One gripe with the fight is that Mario makes a clone of himself and it doesn't even contribute that much to the fight. And I'm pretty sure the Double Cherry makes the clones move in unison with the original. So I feel like if we remove the clone, it will make the sequence a little better. But this was the kind of match I wanted from characters like these, throwing out as many powers as possible, which is something I've always loved seeing. But making a whole battle makes it better for me. Average analysis, great fight. Let's move on. Now this was a fight I didn't expect to see, but it was nice overall. I didn't find anything noteworthy that was outside of the animation, so I'll just go straight for that. For the first fight in the channel, it's pretty well done. Link surprisingly used a lot of strategy, while really just tries to overpower him the whole time. And I like how they incorporated two champions of Hyrule, Mifa and Urbosa. Triforce Accounting is really good, especially the Zelda portions of the track. Those are probably my favorite. And I like the kill. I like how Link just throws his shield, uses a Sheikah Slate, bonks really in the back of your head, and just stabs him out. That's actually really creative on Link's part. Props to you, Smash Bracket. And that's all I've got to say for this episode. Man, that was really fast. Wait, why did I place it up on Mario vs. Mega Man then? I guess I just enjoyed this episode more than the last. Don't really have any other reason. I'm crap at this. I just love talking about Sonic from a versus standpoint. It totally isn't confusing, frustrating, or even inconsistent! I'm not gonna lie. Weird feats for Star Fox characters was fairly interesting since they only really find their vehicles. But this is the only case where they incorporated multiplayer feats for their physical capabilities, since each character actually has different stats. And before I forget, I do not think the Demon Sniper Rifle was overhyped or anything like that. It just seems like the typical ultimate attack exclamation. Now, since I don't feel like getting bombarded by a whole bunch of Sonic fanboys in the comment section, I'll just skip straight to the fight and skip over Sonic's analysis. It's extremely fast paced thanks to the characters involved, but honestly, Sonic makes this way too enjoyable thanks to his cocky and daring personality that bounces off of Fox's more serious nature really well. This is made even more apparent right before the fight even starts when Sonic wants Fox's attention but just gets ignored. The fight has some really standout moments as well, such as Sonic redirecting missiles and dragging Fox out of the R-Wing, Sonic just going around slipping as he's falling, and the hand-drawn animation is fantastic, and the Supersonic R-Wing fight is amped up thanks to the Live and Learn melody in the background. Alright, the music. There are actually two separate tracks used. The Fast and Furious is a Green Hill Zone and Cornera mashup, but Super Speed single-handedly makes the space portion my favorite part of the episode. And then Fox wins. But really, somehow that finisher wasn't even the most brutal one we got so far. And I'm just noticing, I'm not even halfway through the list and I'm talking about great episodes. It was difficult ranking numbers 8 to 5, and at this point, it's just about if I enjoy the episodes more than the last. Which is the case for this one. This episode's a lot of great things, but I just enjoyed the next 7 a lot more. Also, I forgot to mention this is the only episode where results have been reversed, so that happened. I feel like I should make an actual format for these types of videos, but I won't since it requires me to think. Anyways, what episode are we talking about here? Oh goody, let me talk about the track first. Midnight Duel is a good name, but uses Mark's theme instead of Meta Knight's Revenge, which I don't get as much, but still sounds like a Kirby song anyways, so I'm not mad. The fight has some really good characterization from both Meta Knight and Marth. You can feel the respect they both have for each other's swordsmanship, and I love that Meta Knight just throws the falchion back at Marth so they can be on even footing. Despite Meta Knight being 8 inches tall, but I digress. It was also nice learning that Marth uses more than just a sword. He uses an axe, and a spear, and a living sword that just gets broken from one slice from Meta Knight's sword, which is the finishing blow, which is nothing too special. But having Meta Knight spare Marth is a nice touch. This is also the first episode where they add a template for the analysis pointing out the feats, arsenal, etc. And I find it hilarious that Ink literally says this was an incredibly one-sided fight. Speaking of Marth, I feel like he's the one that started the self-deprecating anime protagonist trend, and you can't convince me otherwise. Bird. I want to point out Falco made Ink quit Melee for 5 years, and that's hilarious to me. Unlike Fox's match earlier, this match isn't as fast paced, but has some really good hand-to-hand choreography. It's a really smooth animation, especially this scene. Just look at it. It's so smooth. And then Falco probably starts the trend of Kirby getting bodied for absolutely no reason, and I love it. Speaking of people getting bodied, I just like how Falcon just takes Slippy's R-Wing mid-sentence. Then Falco just drills through Slippy's R-Wing, which kills Falcon and can totally take you off guard if you're watching this for the first time. Although I am disappointed we didn't get that Falcon Punch R-Wing collision. I mean, we did, but that's the alternate ending, so I'm not counting that. And to end, Birds of a Feather is just a song that you can vibe to. It's mostly a Star Fox track, but has that F-Zero feel, you know? Either that or it's a good song to play on your vacation. Like on a beach or something. I don't know. Don't ask. This just sounds like a beach song to me. This whole animation just feels like I'm about to watch a murder take place, and the music doesn't really make this feeling any better. Seriously, when I saw this episode I laughed and partially felt so sad that Ganon was going to murder this random puppy girl. And thank God that didn't happen. I would have been scarred for all of like 10 minutes. Speaking of animation, this is the first hand-drawn animation in the series so far. And for how ridiculous this match is, it makes full use of it. Also, Isabelle has more muscle in her arms than I do, and I absolutely hate that. To sum up the whole animation, it's just a game of chase until Isabelle surrenders, and Ganondorf spots a pie, and then the two have a nice picnic and invite Doomguy along. I can't believe I just read that. Also, apparently Isabelle can go Isabellistic, which I haven't heard of, but it doesn't sound canon, nor does it sound at all terrifying. I mean, seriously. There is no way Isabelle from Animal Crossing has untold power that hasn't been exaggerated or hyped up by the idiots in the YouTube comics set. Huh. I guess some murder did happen. Next match, I think I need to go stare at a wall or play New Horizons again. Ah, yeah. Now we're talking. This episode is easily one of my favorite fighter breakdowns, simply because Ink used a King Batch clip in it, and never mind, this episode is my favorite, 10 out of 10. But I feel like Ink just decided, I want to be funny, since he consistently cracks little jokes, and the remarks he says on the information template, you know, this thing again, is also really funny. That bit where he didn't even know how to say Sephiroth's sword despite getting it first take was dumb, but I got a good laugh out of it. Also, no, Ink, Mewtwo is not part cow. It's clearly a dumpling. Anyway, the animation starts with Mewtwo blowing up a random mansion, finds Sephiroth, and then fights Sephiroth because he doesn't want to be compared to a human. Also, I want to note, having Sephiroth talk exclusively in Japanese is a nice touch, but I feel it's a tad bit weird having Mewtwo be lower pitched than Sephiroth, but it's a minor issue for me. Also, why did Mewtwo say Neo? That doesn't seem like Mewtwo, it's kinda cringe, bro. But enough about my complaints, on to the stuff I really like about the episode, starting with the music. Angelic Experiments is easily one of my favorite tracks of the show, so I can easily sell how intense this match is, but funny enough, I prefer Birds of a Feather a little more. The fight itself is suspenseful, and makes good use of both characters' power sets. And surprisingly, there is a little sword fight in it, thanks to Mewtwo using Psycho Cut. And the spoon. Speaking of their attacks, I really like how each of their attacks look. It's visually appealing to me. And the comet reveal really goes to show that Sephiroth is always 6 steps ahead of you. And he just slices it with ease like he did to Gleam, which catches Mewtwo way off guard, and then we have the best and most brutal finisher of the show so far. Funny, this one death was more brutal than any of Season 8's deaths in Death Battle. Hi, me again. This video started production before Goku Black vs. Reverse Flash came out. So, now we have a really great kill in Season 8 of Death Battle. How about that, man? Also, the goddamn meme face. Ooh, before I forget, this fight also has some really good sprite rigging. I mean, look at the movement of the sprites. They're so swift, even during some of the faster paced movements of the fight. I guess it helps since they're hovering, but I digress. This is a fight that's fit to find the fate of our favorite failed life form. No, I'm not sorry for the alliteration. Okay, why was this track called Dinner and a Show instead of Dinner Theater? Sure, the theater part doesn't fit Jigglypuff as well, but come on, it was right there. My disappointment is immeasurable right now, and I'm not sure if I can forgive them. Okay, never mind everything I just said, this episode was great regardless. Now that my little monologue of disappointment's over, let me give my thoughts on the track itself. It's extremely fun and lively, mixing parts from both Jigglypuff's iconic song from the Pokemon anime and, most notably, the Kirby Right Back At Ya theme. And keeping the jazzy feel Right Back At Ya theme as well. There's also some pretty good jokes and analysis too, such as the high school drama student Pokemon, Puff being a better cyber than Davy, Ink not knowing how to pronounce things again, moves that make the animator hate Ink, and keep in mind, all the jokes I just listed were from Jigglypuff's portion alone. The bit where Ink got a tattoo on his forehead saying he was damaged by the Kirby series was probably my favorite joke of the episode. I laughed more than I should have looking at his face after he got it. And with his little tangent about the Kirby series being inconsistent in the background, this makes the scene a whole lot funnier. Also, he referenced Ben vs. Hal, and I'm not sure if I ironically enjoyed that joke, or if I actually do enjoy the joke. The animation starts with Sonic showing his horrid original movie design, which clearly is a negative reaction from the crowd. Instead of the fight starting on site, unlike 8 other episodes, Kirby interrupts Jigglypuff's performance with a boombox that just so happens to have the battle track ready. Oh right, Kirby literally starts the battle track instead of it building up quietly in the background before the countdown starts. Nice fourth wall break. I'm not the only one to get thrown off thanks to how much ridiculous crap Pup uses in this fight, right? I know it's a normal type, but Thunderbolt, Fire Blast, Blizzard, Bubble Beam, Solar Beam, and the League of Legends community aren't really attacks I've seen Jigglypuff use, or get for that matter. Both fighters are ridiculously expressive. Even though their expressive faces are only shown in quick scenes, that final hit was such an impactful one. thanks to the cracking of Jigglypuff's bones and the 3 times the camera pans out, helped by the fact that the planet exploded off of Jigglypuff's impact onto said planet. Yeah, this episode's really great, a 9 out of 10 even, and being totally honest, this was only knocked down on number 3 because I enjoyed this in the next episode pretty much the same amount. But the next episode just so happens to have my favorite track of Smash brackets so far. So that's what broke the tie for me. Speaking of the Pokemon anime, this is by far the goofiest episode of the series so far, and honestly, it makes me love this episode a lot more because of how much dumb fun the episode is, and how it's just natural given the characters involved. The beginning few minute Pikachu's analysis is basically in questioning how ridiculous some of Pikachu's feats are, and it comes up with the genius conclusion of,
I don't know, man, it's freaking Pikachu, why not?
While for the beginning of Pac-Man's analysis, Ink flat out points out how weird the 80s were. It then proceeds to question what an arcade is, further proving my ongoing theory that Ink is unable to pronounce longer words. And he lets us know about more cursed art that apparently exists. Man, I love the internet. As a whole, Pac-Man's portion was fairly simple, but the fight being my favorite part of the episode is what places it this high. Remember how I said this episode was a bunch of dumb fun earlier? Well, here's where it truly shows. God, where do I start? Can't go wrong with the music. Hey You Pikachu, pun aside, is surprisingly my favorite battle track of the show so far, and honestly I don't see it getting top for a good while. Anyways, the fight itself is pretty fast paced the whole way through, and doesn't manage to get overwhelming with how fast the action is. Honestly, I like it when characters' powers are being thrown out as fast as they are here. I'm not sure why though. For me, some of the standout moments of the fight are easily Pikachu just standing on Pac-Man's head, the whole downhill scene, the 5-second clone fight, and the 360 view of the hand-drawn Pikachu. Eat your heart out, David. The finisher is pretty good as well. Pikachu using Surf to have Pac-Man immobilized so he can get off of Thunder is an interesting one. But for some reason, Pac-Man just pulls a Scooby-Doo and just runs without actually going anywhere. Now for my little nitpicks for the episode. The sprites don't mesh too well together for me. Pac-Man looks fine, but isn't there a better Pikachu sprite? Or at least one that bounces off Pac-Man well? Speaking of Pac-Man, he's in weird poses when he isn't moving sometimes. Oh yeah, why is Pac-Man vibrating like he's pulling a reverse flash? Did I miss something? Honestly, those are just minor complaints that don't really take me out of the episode. This episode's still a 9 out of 10, but if you know process of elimination, you can probably guess what my favorite episode of Smash Bracket is. Attacked by Spearow Pokemon? You could have just ended by saying Spearow. This isn't Digimon! Wow, Kick, you put all 4 Pokemon episodes in a row, and your favorite Smash Bracket episode happens to be the one with your favorite Pokemon competing? Well, yes, and to that, I say, yeah. Before I talk about the episode, I'm going to talk about the track since I keep forgetting to talk about it despite listening to it while trying to write this entry. Warriors of Aura is pretty great. I wasn't a big fan at first, but it's grown on me. Instead of mashing up 2 of the fighters' songs they're associated with, the track just sounds like a genuine fighting game track. Starting low-key at the beginning, but picks up as time passes thanks to the fight being roughly the same pace as the track. No, despite using Ryu's theme. Okay, now let me talk about my issues with the episode before I gush about the fight. First off, input DeviantArt results page as one of Lucario's aura attacks and I hate that. Second, the XY anime outright confirms that Mega Lucario went berserk because they didn't have enough control of his new power yet. If I remember correctly, that is. Haven't watched X and Y since it ended. There's no Riolu name drop, which is a big disappointment. Both analysis portions were really short and don't really bring up many crucial feats. Finally, Ink says Lucario isn't versatile enough to beat Ryu, which I don't find completely true. And that's all the problems. Yeah, the breakdown portions were short to the point I really couldn't find many problems with it. Anyways, the fight is why this is my favorite episode. For as quickly as both fighters were covered, I feel like having a fairly longer fight is a good compensation for it. The animation starts with Lucario meditating and having visions of Sephiroth's arrival after he beat Mewtwo earlier. We're only 10 seconds into the animation, and the show sets up a future plot point where Sephiroth can become a major threat to the Smash bracket. And because of that, Lucario seeked out help and just so happened to find Ryu, who also sent Sephiroth's power. So Lucario proposed a chain match so they can both be ready to possibly fight Sephiroth. And then the fight begins. You can feel the instant respect these two have just from the dialogue throughout the whole fight. Ryu complimenting Lucario on his fighting skill and being an honorable opponent, while Lucario takes a more aggressive approach and wants Ryu to use all his strength from the beginning. And apparently Ryu also gets in some actual Street Fighter combos from what I hear, so that's a fun fact. And then Kirby just gets nuked from one of the bone staffs, which is funny as always. I freaking love the ending as well. Both fighters are about to use their strongest attack, only for Ryu to fool Lucario last second and fire up the Shinku Hadouken. Seriously, Ryu's names are not that difficult to say, guys. The pacing for the stronger forms are done really well too. Ryu loses control for a little bit after being overwhelmed by Lucario, and then Evil Ryu just flat out stomps Lucario. Lucario goes mega to counter Evil Ryu, which leads into my favorite part of the fight, the sudden death. It's still anyone's game and builds up to its climatic end. While it doesn't last too long, I feel like it ran for a good amount of time, which gives both characters a chance to land good hits in before the conclusion actually happens. Oh yeah, and the loser doesn't die, thank God. At least in the normal ending. In fact, they didn't release the alternate endings for this or Sephiroth vs. Mewtwo yet. Whatever, those endings are just good as is. So all in all, the analysis is short, but not bad. And the fight is easily the best fight Smash Bracket has put out so far. And I don't see it being topped for a good while. Oh, also, this little bit is being recorded after Greninja vs. Diddy Kong airs, but I'm not gonna spoil the results, just in case you didn't see the episode, but the finishing blow is kinda hilarious. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but the finishing blow is really hilarious, and I feel like it's tied with Sonic vs. Fox, or Marth vs. Meta Knight. One of the two, I don't really care at this point. I would continue gushing about Ryu vs. Lucario, but I started writing the intro at the end of August, and I just didn't touch the script for a good 2 to 3 weeks. And it's September 20th when I'm running numbers 5 to 1. I still haven't finished editing this yet, so there's that. Anyways, hope you enjoyed it. But who knows, the fact you found this and still haven't clicked off yet is a mystery. Okay, I guess that's everything. I hope you guys enjoyed. You do all the typical things YouTuber says, and peace.